Hello and welcome to GUI.Dog. Oh yes. What are we doing today? Suhuf. Yeah. So there's a new feature, and it is basically that before, when you click the login with Nostra, you're allowed to paste in a public key, but that is not the right way of handling it. And supposedly this is NIP. I can't remember which NIP it is. It's 94, I think, or something like that, or 98. I didn't know that. All I did was ask RuCode using Visual Basic Studio to find out what the implementation is, the best way to do this, and that's what it found out. Now, with RuCode, you need to make sure that the extensions, for some reason, when RuCode updates or there's a pending updates, and RuCode seems to update as an extension in Visual Studio Basic, VS Code, which is from Microsoft. The extensions, some of them they uninstall themselves or whatever. So I've had to check it several times, and so that's a heads up. Watch out for that. And the one I'm using is Context 7. Context 7. The reason why that MCP, this is an MCP in the RuCode Marketplace, but you don't have to pay anything for it. I know it's called Marketplace, but you don't have to pay for anything from it. It provides AI with the right code, the most recent code, because obviously it was trained on the internet, and you're going to have really old code, and then you might be using that. So Context 7, so that's a very important one. Use Context 7. I will drop the prompt that I used for this feature in the description as usual. And yeah, so now you might be wondering, GUI.Dog, Uncle GUI, why so much effort? You've been watching a few YouTube videos. People are doing this, and then they show you a demo page, and then they do it in 5 minutes, and then that's it. Bada bing. Well, the first thing I'd say is, think of it as paper. Like what they're showing you is thin. Is a thin piece of paper. Like they're just showing you a landing page, and it's like rice paper. It's that thin that there's no depth to it. Like here you've got buttons on Suhuf.co. Give it a visit. Look for yourself. That you've got buttons and you've got things happening, and that's what you want. You want to give your visitors. It's called gamification. Make it into a game. Like when they click a button, then something happens. Okay, so I've got some dud buttons on here. I'm working on it. I'm using that principle that we talked about before. That when you're crossing the Sahara, what the French did, they've put down oil barrels. It's actually every 5 kilometers. I've checked it again in the previous video. I'm making a correction. I said 1 mile, but it's not. It's 5 kilometers, and you would see an oil barrel on the horizon, and if you just keep on following that oil barrel, then each one after the other, you get to your destination. So this is one of the oil barrels, and I'm working on each one, and I'm aiming for working on the most important one at this moment in time, and then going like that. And it's taking a lot of time, but it's taking a lot of effort. But the way I see it, this is a 10-year project. I know that's that might be surprising to a lot of you, because you're just watching these YouTube videos and they do it in 5 minutes and then they forget about it, and then supposedly Kaching is supposed to come through, but it can't be. It can't be, so simple, and then you expect the effort you put in is what you're going to get out. That's the thing. And I know 10 years for some of you. When I was young, I thought, I wanted to do ninjutsu. Yeah, ninjutsu, the martial arts of the ninja. And then supposedly if you want to do that, it would take 10 years. You go to Japan and it would take 10 years. And at that time, someone said, oh, that's too long. And I thought about it. I thought, yeah. And I was young. So when you're young, you think 10 years is a long time. But when you get a bit older, you realize it isn't. So now, obviously, that if you get 10,000 impressions, which is what J Demarco says in his books, and you can check in the description, 10,000 impressions or 1,000 clicks, then you're not getting any response. You're obviously act, assess, and adjust. You're pivoting, and then you realize that, okay, so people don't want it. There's people don't want this, and that could happen because with these halal business, there's been many. There was the green pages in the 90s. There was the Muslim directory, 2012, 2013, and then I don't know what's happened to that. And then you can search for halal business directory, Muslim business directories, and you'll see many websites. I believe that I'm providing skewing value here and providing features that those websites don't have. That's my unfair advantage. You have to consider what you're bringing to the market. Are you actually bringing something new, or are you doing something that why do you exist? That's the whole point. Why do you exist? I mean, are you just doing the same thing as everyone else, and then you believe you want to get more than what everyone else is getting out of it, because somehow you're special, which is, well, the market. It's brutal, but it's truthful. It teaches people in a very harsh manner, no sugarcoating, that either you're successful or you're not. So you're either bringing something valuable, something you're adding to the market by meeting people's needs, or you're not. So I believe I am meeting those needs. And yeah, so make your website, and it's AI doing this. You guys, you need to get onto this, man. You need to get onto this. This is a golden opportunity. If you're sitting on your hands just watching this, or not even watching this and watching something else and wasting your time, Jim Rohn says, the spring comes after the winter. So winter is all those hard times in life, and spring follows it. But you only have so many springs, so make sure you take advantage. The spring is when you plant. The summer is when you tend to it to make sure it grows, and then you harvest it afterwards. And you only get so many springs in your life. So this is one of those opportunities. You either get onto it and be successful, or you don't, and you're left behind, basically. Yeah. So you want to put some depth into your website, really, and then add those buttons, gamification, and make it valuable for people. So yeah. So now you might be considering that. You might look at it and think to yourself, "Oh, I don't know, like that seems a bit complicated." For instance, like in order to, one of the things you have to do with the website, with the logins, you have to you should put your browser on incognito, or like on a private window, and then try to go to your website, whether it's local or you're hosting it and it's live, and then use some of the login features that anyone can get. So like a username or something. Here I'm using Nostra public key, and I actually tried it with Nostra public key, and then you could actually log in with the public key, which you shouldn't be able to do, because you could simply copy someone else's public key. That's widely available, and then you could just paste it in, and then you couldn't sign anything. But the fact is, that's not how it's handled. Now you might think to yourself, oh well, I'm a bit anxious because when it comes to security and that kind of thing, I'm not a techie person. So what I would say, what I'll do first is I'm going to link to a book in the description, the Web Application Hacker's Handbook. It's a very old book, but it's considered the industry standard. And then, yeah, I know you don't want to read it, but I'd strongly advise you that you could simply just get the read aloud. I can't remember. It's an app. I'll put it in the description. It's Aloud Reader or something like that, and Text Aloud Reader or something like that. And then that app, basically, you get the PDF. You open the PDF in that app, and you also need Google TTS, which is text to speech, which is Google. So you're going to find it in the App Store or whatever. And then that app will actually read it out to you, and hands-free, when you're doing whatever, you're cooking or something like that, just listen to it, and you'll get a feel for security when it comes to your website security. You don't have to actually understand how to fix it. You just have to understand what you need to ask. That's all. And if you understand what you need to ask, then you can ask the AI whether it's handling this and how it's handling it. And it's actually great training, because if you do successfully, like let's say your app, you start that Ember, basically you're working with what you have. You're not paying any money right now, you're using free tools, and you start to get some traction. So that's your Ember. Then you start to add a little bit of money. You never throw huge amounts of money at something at the beginning. Never do that. Seriously, that's just, I know it takes money to make money, but basically that's how you get scammed. You throw money up front, and then you're expecting a return, and then it never comes. It never comes. That's how it works. It never comes. So you need to look at it as like you're trying to start fire by rubbing two sticks together. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, like a fire drill or a fire stick, you can just watch some videos on someone starting fire, survival kind of way, using wood. That's where the myth of Prometheus came from. It's actually the legend of the first person who actually did that. So basically, that's how, and that's what that is the image you have to have when you're starting something like this. That you're trying to make an ember, you're trying to get some traction, and then you're going to add little bits of money to it to keep that fire, to get that ember to become a flame, and then you add a little bit more and a little bit more, like that. So when it comes to actually listening to the security, the security book and that kind of thing, it's just that you just have to listen and know the questions you're going to ask. And then when you get a roaring fire, so you've got an app that people are using and you've decided to go to devs, you will understand how to talk to the devs, because it's in their incentive not to do the work. They'll just do the minimum, and then they'll give it to you, and then you won't be any wiser. But you're clever, because you take whatever they give you, put the code into the AI, put AI on ask, and then start asking questions about whether they did what you told them to do. That is the devs, and whether it's been handled in a secure fashion. You can use Context 7 for that, and then you can go back to them and berate them for not doing what they were supposed to do. And that's the power you have right now. When we say digital intelligence, you literally have Einstein at your fingertips. Henry Ford, he once said something, and then he was Henry Ford, the car magnate. He was called into court, and then and the attorney at that the attorney at that time tried to make him look stupid by asking him all these questions, general knowledge questions and things like that. He toyed with the attorney for a while, and then he said to the attorney, why would I want to know that information? Why would I need to know the answer to that question? In my office I have like a bank of keys that any one key calls the foremost world's expert in that field to my office, and I can ask him any question I like. So why would I cram my brain with useless knowledge when I can call upon the greatest expert in that field to my office instantly, and then ask him the question I need, and I'll get the answer. That is what you have right now with AI. Can you imagine that power? That is power. They say knowledge is power. I mean, knowledge acted upon is power. It's not just knowledge. Jim Rohn says, don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action, and then you will become rich. Your learning leading to knowledge, and you become a fool. Don't become an academic unless you want to become an academic. If that's your field, then that's your field. More power to you. But that you literally have digital intelligence at your fingertips, that you can ask it a question and it will give you the answer that you need. And then, if you can harness that digital intelligence, and I'm showing you how here, that you can harness that digital intelligence, just like Henry Ford harnessed fire. I mean, we have the legend of, we have the myth of Prometheus coming from the legend from the first person who made fire, and then how many millennia it took for that fire to be harnessed in a combustion engine, and then to use, and then you see the effect all around you. The same thing can be done with digital intelligence. It's like fire, and if you can harness it, you can use it to produce products that are useful to humanity for a profit. And you can be like Henry Ford. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Tell us in the comment section why you gave us a thumbs up or thumbs down. Watch this video next to see what the last thing I did, and watch the playlist to see how I built this. If you've got any feedback, if I'm missing something, if I'm not seeing something, then make sure to drop it in the comment section. Thank you very much, and goodbye.